a long time. As the president said, those in other nations, like our host countries, there's people in the diaspora, bear with the Zimbabweans, support them, give them 400 days to liberate their country, and everything is going to be well. That was the appeal of the president in the morning. Welcome, Sister Beauty. What's your take on the violence? I can see my sister Sophia is there. If you can come and comment, I can see Sister Diamond. I can see Priscilla. I can see Kwakura. Organized confusion there, bling bling. Come, let's talk solutions. Come, let's discuss this situation. How do you see it? And what is being done? But what we shouldn't forget is one thing. The citizens, no matter the barricades, no matter you attack the convoy or anything, the citizens still gathered. We will defy ZANU-PF. Defying ZANU-PF is not defying the law, because ZANU-PF is not the law of the land. Sister Beauty, over to you.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, Ishmawan. Violence, guys. I don't know what to say because it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get less. It's going to get worse. They're clearly giving us the sign, Yakuti. That's the way they're gonna take 2023 elections. They're just gonna increase in what they know best, which is violence, cheating, putting unfair laws and policies for others that they themselves do not even follow or want to follow. So our solution has always been to go that route of defiance, because we can never follow through with what they want. We always have to follow through with what we want and what is constitutional to us. So that we can never allow them to define what laws are applicable to us, which laws which are not applicable to them. How can 29 cars come and barricade other cars? What sort of law is that? Chero traffic yacho inokontrolewa sei if some people have the license to barricade roads? That's a crime in itself. Zvaanga vachitoita izvozvo. No one has the right to disturb traffic flow or to govern who comes in or out of a certain town or area, except maybe the police, and they're not the police, they're just thugs. And the worst part of it, these are thugs, guys, vanogara kugokwe. Kugokwe kwakabiwa mari yekoti, ndokunorimwa cotton kazhinji kacho. Saka mari yese inobiwa kotiko iya yakabiwa nana meya wadyajena yakabirwa these people, these same people who are defending him and not allowing the voice of change to be spoken in the area. Ndo vanhu vacho vari kubirwa mari futi. No one is safe. Tese tongobirwa mali left, right, and center nezanu PF, and yet people still have the audacity to say we stand nechimusangano ichi, hey, we barricade this and that. Kunge vari kudya nacho, vanodya vashoma, and vanodya vacho kazhinji kacho they're never involved in this violence. We also the new house yatikaratidzwa Twitter apapa yakavakwa nethat lady. Have you ever seen that lady achienda kana kumusangano kana kuti achienda kunoita anything? Anonzi Chimaropafadzo, whatever energy company, what. That person haumuwani achiita violence dzacho, haumuwani achiita zvisezvi. Unomuwana achienda nopa president mari, yes, kustate house achitorwa mapicture napresident, but haumuwani achiita dirty work yese. Saka why do people keep on wanting to be paid to do dirty work, to empower and enrich people that do not even see them as people who see them as workers, and people who see them as zvinhu zvekushandisa, not as other fellow human beings? People who rather give you a car so you can go and do nonsense with it, rather than give you a car to live your life and empower others in your area. Izvezvi kukambuyana kwacho kakuenda kunenge kuchipisa tsitsi, vanhu vanenge vachitambura, vanenge vachimwa mvura inovava kunge salt. Mvura yacho futi pamwe haitowanikwe padhuze, unenge uchitofamba mamaira kuti unotsvaga mvura yacho yekumwa iyoyoyo. And those same people are then denied access to the message of change. They're then told kuti you've got no right to gather, no right to assemble, no right to free speech, no right to act party, a political party of your choice. You have to follow what we want. We, the 29 car seaters, what we want and decide for you is what you should follow. You should not be hearing this message. Who are they? What is their right to say that to other fellow Zimbabweans? Kuti, you don't have the right to be at a rally. You don't have the right to be here gathered listening to the messages of change, or to the right to freely go and question things and discuss things with fellow Zimbabweans. What right do they have above everyone else? It's just not on. And yes, people should continuously defy these unfair laws, orders, and whatever else that's happening there. And people should continuously discuss the illegalities that are taking place within the nation, because without discussing them, there are no solutions are going to come. And without defiance, we'll never get to the next point. So yes, I'm happy kuti people still got to rally together. People still got to defend their rights under the constitution, the right to assembly, the right to gather, and the right to share information and to express themselves in the way that best suits them. It's a shame kuti violence yatoitwa kune majournalists edu, kune media houses dzinofamba dzichitigadzira information. It's a big shame. But totenda Mwari kuti vachapora, vachadzokera back to do their jobs, because I think it will energize them even more to continuously do their jobs as they've been doing it. I don't think it will be a hindrance to any more journalistic minded people or media minded people from pursuing the media that they want to showcase to the rest of the country and the rest of the world. So hopefully this will even empower more people to keep pursuing the mission for change, and it will empower vamwe vanga vasiri kutoziva kuti vari kuda kuita sei ikoko kugokwe, hopefully, so that some more people they actually register to vote, and come Saturday night tiri kuenda musi 27, they actually go and vote for the change that they need. Because obviously kana maakurambidzwa kuita zvinhu ka, maakutonida change yacho more than any other person. Kana maakuita that more right to go and change whatever situation is there. Yesterday we had two gentlemen here on the space we had yesterday, and they encouraged us to adopt a polling agent, uh, help us campaign Gokwe, let us fund the election campaign that's going on there. And yeah, some people have come to my DM asking host, could how do they adopt a polling agent? Who is okay, link here campaign yacho iri kupi, so that they can actually go there and interact with that link, or get hold of someone who can help them with ways of in how on how to adopt a polling agent. I hope you, host, you come through with that information, because I see some of the people were in my inbox here on this platform, and they would like to get to that information as well. Thank you. Back to you, host.
Thank you, the Sister Beauty. So basically, the fundraising for the Gokwe Kabuyuni was being led by one David Siampondo. He was the one who was the candidate for opposition in 2018. He's the one who was organizing the fundraising. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to DM him. We are going to have maybe on Friday or sometime, if we finish early today, we can then have him come with the link, and then we share the link with the rest of the people, because he once did a fundraiser right here for Gokwe Kabuyuni. So yes, the Gokwe Kabuyuni needs our support. And I think the last time I talked to him, I think for polling agents, I think even $1,000 will go a long way, of which I think $1,000 is something that we can manage in a few hours if we want. So even if we do it on today's Thursday, so if we're able to do it later on today or tomorrow, we will still be able um, to get enough funds. So thank you for that. And indeed, like you are saying, violence is no longer necessary. So let's speak. What do you think? What do you not? What do you think? What do you want us to do as the diaspora desk to ensure that this violence and everything that is happening stops? That's the first question. The second question is, what do you want us to do so that we can secure a release for Job Scala? If you are not free to share your opinion publicly, kindly inbox us the solution, what you think is the solution. Because I'm one person who thinks that we need action, but action is inspired by citizens, and the desk is not privy to all the solutions that exist in the world. The solutions come from the citizens. So those who can speak, take up the mic, tell us what you want us to do in order, one, to deal with the violence. Number two, to bring a close to the Nyatsime issue, where we still have 16 people who were affected because of the ZANU-PF violence, and our sister who is not yet buried. So, what should we do? Our inbox is open. Our inbox is open. So just go to the inbox and tell us if possible. Just take up the mic. Let's have a discussion. Then let me say, according to Mash West, our sister account, they were commenting on the events in Gokwe Kabuyuni. So they said, a violent pursuit in Gokwe, sensing a heavy defeat in the watershed 2023 elections, the unelectable ZANU-PF regime in Zimbabwe has reset itself to default and is clearly declaring a campaign of violence ahead of 2023 elections. So this is our sister handle, Triple C Mash West, which was saying this, and we couldn't agree more. But the stage of then going to use AK-47s, and it's a new law for ZANU-PF. I don't know. What do you think, Sister Beauty, when it comes to a political party that sends people with AK-47s to prevent a rally against unarmed people and non-violent people? What's your take, Sister Beauty, there?
Because it's utter madness. How do you give people guns to go to a rally for people? What is the aim? Are you saying go fire everyone who's there? What are you trying to say when you say take arms and go to unarmed people? It's something, I don't know. It's a cause for concern, a major cause for concern. If some people are getting guns to go to rallies, to stop rallies, honestly, and these are civilians who are getting guns, they don't probably even have gun training. What are they going to do there except massacre fellow citizens? What is the aim? Are we going back to Gukurahundi? Is that where we're going back? Where we're going to have a civil war in Zimbabwe itself? What is the aim? Why do they want violence to such an extent? Yes, Dobbs, how are you today?
Fine. Murise, let's say what pass space. I got it here because the question it becomes a bit complicated, but it's a bit easier as well to say they used that method before of using the military. That is why they are not willing to implement all those commission reports like Chiambako or Moshande recently. Say they are not implementing it because they still wanted to use the military and the weapons. But what happened in 1985 during the days of Gukuraund, they were elected. They did not gain any seat by using violence. Then that is the reason why they changed to say, let's stop that violence and go to unity accord. They understand they were not going to take that Matabeleland fort from ZAPU during that time. So similar message needed to be sent to say, whether you use violence or anything else, we are not going to vote for you. But the moment people vote for them because they are using violence, they will continue using violence because it's one of the apparatus they use to get votes to remain in power. So we have to understand the history of it and how they were able to be defeated by that method and still apply it even today. That's my taking for them now. I'm still busy. I'll join again as a speaker if there's any need.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yes, boss.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. What a powerful point there from Dobbs. That despite using violence against the Matabeleland people, against uh, 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 um, despite implementing or using the Matabeleland genocide, ZANU-PF was still failed to get support in the areas where they used violence. Yet they expect that violence is going to help them. It's not. It's not. If violence worked after 2008, ZANU-PF could have become a one-party state, but it failed as well. So violence is not gonna help in any way. That's what we can say. So ZANU-PF, stop the violence, let the people be free, let the vote be free and fair. Even if you win in a free and fair election, no one is going to bother you. Let's go to Max and hear what you have to say.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Thank you very much. Sorry for I'm just so enthusiastic to share some enlightenment that I want to maybe also bring up in the greater debate forum that we're having. What I'm trying to do is go to a tweet that we've just shared, and if you may allow me just 1 second here to pick it up and just read to you a response that I wanted to put up to the table to see if there can be to evaluate it. I want the the members listening here to evaluate the idea. Right. The idea of a coerced and a non-reflective election result has been going on in Zimbabwe for the last 43 years. We know that elections in Zimbabwe are marred by violence, in most cases bloodshed, abductions. There's no reform space at all. You can never see opposition on state media. There is absolutely no democratic space to speak of. It is almost like every single election moment is a attempt to create the democratic space, but we have failed because, of course, there are some with more vested interest in the status quo. Right. The violence is not going to stop anytime soon. Until 2050, Zimbabweans will use the same modus operandi, the MO, to maintain their grip on power. So what do we do? What is the point? I would like to ask, dear citizens. in, say, you participate in a boxing match that you know at the end of the day, the judges will always count against your favor. And you'll have sustained, again, serious punishment in trying to win in a fair fight. You believe you've knocked your opponent then, the judges then score every time in the opponent's favor. Meanwhile, your opponent was using dirty tactics, iron gloves, etc. So, the question then becomes, and you go every time, this is the same contestant, same competitor, same opponent, and he does this every time. The question then becomes, reality is, why do you keep engaging in a contest with this contender? He's not a fair player. So I would like to say, number one, I want to just suggest something that I want maybe for us to evaluate. Let us say the violence that is going on and all these bizarre events, guns and so forth, should be documented. I think it's important that the People's Party, continues to go out there and continues to try to access the rural areas. And then if there's abuses and these abuses are due, let us to continue to document them, like some of the visuals we saw today on the social medias, that we need for the international community to be aware as a V11 that indeed there are some transgressions going on in terms of the democratic space and freedom for association, etc. All these human rights that are being trampled so blatantly. We need to document that. We need to document that all the way up to maybe even a month before the elections. All the abuses must be documented. If we have visuals, even better. Number one. Number two, the party must go out and say the strongest two messages. The messages are is a two-pronged message. Number one, everybody must go and register to vote. We would like the registrar book to bear all our desires to vote in terms of everybody having gone to register to vote. This is what we must encourage everybody, so that the book is full. Everybody's name, every aspirant of a democratic Zimbabwe is registered in the book that is a participant to vote in the 2023 elections. That is number two. Number three, we want then the party must then say, in the run-up to the elections, if we realize that we are in another vicious circle of lack of reforms, for example, violence, rigging of ZEC, patronization, cronies, etc., all these things that do not give democracy a fair chance, we must then say, that is the party leadership now. This is the ultimatum must be given to the regime, that we have registered all the aspirants of a free and fair Zimbabwe, a free and fair election. If you do not cease and desist from the violence, in a month from now, when the election is due, we're not going to participate. We're going to take our block of satisfied Zimbabweans, which is a big majority, is going to do the biggest stairway in election history on the planet. And this election stairway is going to be done not only by the Zimbabweans on the ground, it's going to be done by every other generation that you've disenfranchised around the world. We will want everybody in that period running up to the election to do as much social media splash of the placards written, my vote, my Zimbabwean vote matters, just like Black Lives Matter, so that we show the world, all the displaced citizens of Zimbabwe who have had to go away from the country because of its steady crisis, that are now living their lives in elsewhere, and that they have been disenfranchised of their vote. Those who are saying we want to vote via embassies, all those who are saying Zimbabweans need to have a clear democratic choice. Anywhere around the world, you are to take a picture of your placard written, my Zimbabwean vote matters. And that it is now like a movement, a global movement, because we know Zimbabweans are everywhere that would have wanted to vote if they were given chances in the different embassies of different spaces in the world. Imagine the number of Zimbabweans that are in South Africa. Imagine the number of Zimbabweans in the UK. Right. So just let me round it up. I know the other speakers. So that is another thing that we want. We want to document all the Zimbabweans that have been disenfranchised by the regime over these 43 years. Then the regime has to make a choice. Either it reforms or it's going to get the biggest stairway that is going to ever happen. And if they are going to muscle, push their few coerced rural votees and whatever amount of trial rigging, it can never match to the registrar that we will have stocked with all our aspirations to vote. That is why it's important that we all register to vote. But then, if they do not reform, we will withhold our vote, because we will not contribute our vote to a debauchery of an election. We won't contribute our vote because it's the same concept I said earlier of stepping into a ring, knowing fully well the judges are bought and the guy is going to pull dirty tricks and iron punches, etc. You understand? So we then say we will not willingly participate to have our individual votes brutalized by the people that are undemocratic. We hold it. This will become the biggest step.
That is not a solution, surely.
What-
If you are withholding your vote, how are you aiming to remove ZANU-PF?
Let me tell you how it's going to work. Now we're going to drive ourselves to the ultimate situation that we cannot whitewash or create a situation where we are endorsing some sort of tussle in the ring. We cannot. The Zimbabweans, if all the Zimbabweans that follow CCC decide to withhold their vote, you're going to get some polls with one person, one vote, some places with two votes. We saw it when we voted that some places had
But a
one.
vote is a vote. You do realize that even if one person votes, that vote is counted as the legitimate vote.
No. Look, if there's a massive stairway, the registration, the registrar book of all the registered people versus the ones that actually participate will create a pseudo-election in itself that it will clearly demonstrate that the ones that have voted are not the majority. It is just equally as representative as going to vote and then being cheated.
Yeah, but then they count the people who voted. They don't count those who have not voted. Because if you don't vote, you have just voted for someone else's vote to count more than yours.
Last time the CCC had an election with ZANU-PF in 2018, the figures that we ran with that CC got MDC got at least 60, 70%, 68%. That is what the tally was until it was until the 41s and the ensuing saga. But imagine if you took away a block of voters of about 60%, what sort of election would you have? Imagine if the majority, the majority party, the whatever party, decides to stay away from an election.
I don't get your theory because of one reason only. Let me explain myself.
Go ahead.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, in Zimbabwe, we are over 15 million people, and there are over, I think, 10 million people who are over the age of voting in Zimbabwe, right? And every time in our elections, it's always 33 to 35% of those eligible to vote who actually get registered to vote and cast their votes. So it means there is another half out there that do not participate in elections but are eligible to participate in elections.
Mm-hmm.
And these people have continuously followed your rule to say they're not going to participate in elections that they do not see the reforms in, do not see where the outcome can be changed by a vote or whatever reasons.
Absolutely.
But this has continuously empowered the rule of ZANU-PF to continue in power, because it does not matter how many people are eligible to vote. What matters is people who turn out to vote.
Well, yes. Well, now this is actually a studied science, right? So if you stuff your registration book with the registry with as many registered voters as you have that is why it's very important for people to register to vote. We must increase the number of people that want to participate in the election. It's very important for this to work, because if you don't register to vote, then we work with those that are registered. You understand? And then, of course, everything falls flat. If 3 people register to vote and the 3 vote, then the 3 become majority. You understand? But if if the party really mobilizes to say, let us make sure that we're all registered, and then we withhold the vote, that means that you're going to have...
Withholding the vote does not count for anything.
Yes. So, Max, I just want to ask you a question. Then we give some time to Sophia. You can remain and share your thoughts further. It's a debate, and in a debate, we can say what we think. But I want to ask Max a simple question: what if you don't? We have all registered voters, and then we tell people don't go and register to vote. Then ZANU-PF goes and stuffs the ballots and say that Maximilian and Beauty and Sophia voted when you didn't vote. How are you going to be able to prove that you didn't vote if they stuff ballots using your name? That's the question. You answer that, then we give the time to Sophia. Go ahead, Max. Max, you can unmute.
Sorry. Okay, great. Thank you very much. So the science of it is that as many people as can to register to vote, number one, so that there is a clear indicator of the registered voters. And then there's a check on the voters roll to say how many have we registered, right? So there's you say the register concludes that there's 6 million people. If you push really, as my fellow lady speaker said, if you push and try to push it to 8 million, now you have 8 million registered voters. If the party is confident that there's a majority of Zimbabwe, whatever the tally is, what the actual, whether they staff it or not, they cannot staff it for and perpetrate your vote in your absence. They cannot do it. You know, it's not going to work. The science will disallow. That would be a clear V11. You know, so it's as I said, the science that the scientists are working with this are saying that this would be the biggest stay away on an election, because if Zimbabweans, here's the point though. Anyway, whatever you decide, guys, if Zimbabweans participate in yet another sham election, you're just going to get another sham result. And Zimbabweans have always gone then to argue who really has won it and who was beaten, and oh well, this one was beaten to coerced. There is really no room. The game is in town is there's never going to be room for reform. That's what we know, and that's how the power matrix is maintained. So by continuing to participate in elections that are a sham, we are in fact endorsing the system perpetually. So we have to find a way of that.
Yes, Max Melland, what you are going to do is we are going to hold you there. I think the audience have had a point you are making. So, guys, take up the mic. Come, do agree with the Max? If not, why? If yes, if you agree with him, let's have the talk. So let's go to Sophia. If you would like to speak, kindly pick up the mic, and then we'll be able to have a discussion. Go ahead, Sophia.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thanks. First of all, I just want to say, you know what, I'm liking what Max is saying to some extent. He brings in this idea that something must be done and we must do something. Although I don't quite understand, I must use that word, I don't quite understand the plot or the model that he's bringing across, that, you know what, maybe we withhold our votes, maybe he will come later and just describe that. But I just want to maybe take us back a little bit to have an understanding of where we are right now and where we possibly will be going. I'm a strong believer of, you know, history repeats itself. If we look at all these from the great civilizations from the beginning of time, and the way politics have played out, if you look at it and you study it today, you find that it's possibly playing out the same way, in the same way it did in historical times. If you look at ZANU-PF, these are people with violence in their DNA. We have seen it. It has been proven that what they do well and what they do best is inflict violence on the people of Zimbabwe. And we're looking at it now. We're going into election mode, and they've picked up, it's peaked, the violent stance that they take. People were talking today on Twitter, I'm sure you were following it as well. ZANU-PF have started their campaign in the rural areas to terrorize citizens. And after their what you call it, the meeting, the one that they're planning, the if you can help me out there, the Congress, the rural areas are possibly going to be impenetrable because everyone will be in this mode in ZANU-PF that they want to please the premier, that they want to outdo each other, to show each other that no one is going into their area, no opposition or no political activist is going into the area to be, sort of showing the rural people that there is a different way, there is light at the end of the tunnel, that the Triple C can get them out of their hunger, out of their poverty, out of their suffering. So we can expect that, after this ZANU-PF Congress in October, it's going to be much, much harder than what we saw today. It's going to be more violent than what you saw today. Those AK-47s, those machetes, those convoys going after the president, going after the citizens who are just having a thank you rally, it's going to be more and more violent, more and more, terroristic. So when we have that, and we can see that if we look back at 2008, 2002, we look back at all these elections, we can see this is how the way ZANU-PF has been functioning. How do we then propose? How do we then come to sit together and say, okay, this is what they've been doing. How do we then map way forward or come up with a model that will help us as the people of Zimbabwe to get out of this state repression, to get out of this suffering that has been caused by the corruption, the incompetence, the brazen stealing, thuggery, thieving by the ZANU-PF regime, so that we have a Zimbabwe that is decent, that is taking care of all its citizens and bringing decency and dignity to all the lives of Zimbabweans and not just a few elite. If we then look now, like what Max was saying, that one of the solutions that he brings to the table is documenting everything that is going on. And I agree totally with you. We need to document all the actions, all the terrorism, all the violence that is being perpetrated on our innocent citizens and on our political leaders. It needs to be documented and it needs to be shown to the world to show that this is what is going on in Zimbabwe. But we also need to take a step further. And I don't believe that holding the vote is the answer. I'll tell you why. If we go right now and look at the system in the Home Affairs, Zimbabwe Home Affairs, you will see that the number of people who are registered to vote is not it's not tallying, which is why we have the ZEC refusing to hand over or to have other people have sight of the voters' roll, because all these numbers are in a shambles. They are playing around with numbers so that when they announce the election results, it's in their favor because they have been playing around with it. I mean, with Excel gate. If we look at if you go into the Home Affairs, the Registrar General's Department in particular, you'll find that from now on until the elections come up, a lot of employees, civil servants at the Registrar General Department, in the Army, and some departments as well of the government, they will have these what you call it, retreats, where they go and they are stuffing votes. They actually stuff votes before the elections. So if you're privileged enough to know someone who works at the Registrar General's office in the correct department, and you go and you look at your name, you will find that you have already voted for the 2023 elections. So when we have this information and we have this knowledge, what we need then to do is to counter it and to expose it and to cut off any lifeline that ZANU-PF is using, is hanging on to remain in power, because they want to remain in power, and they will remain in power at all costs because they want to continue stealing. We saw that there was a loan of $200 million US from China that came in agricultural implements and tractors. But that loan, we're paying it back to China in platinum, valued at 52 billion US dollars. Now, this is the debt that our children and our grandchildren will be paying back for implements that we never saw, that you and I, the ordinary Zimbabweans, never saw. So they will be holding on to this lifeline to try and stay in power for as much as possible. We cannot withhold the vote. what we can do is we need to see exactly how they're planning, how they're working, and how they're plotting to come July 2023, when they announce that they have won. This is why they're putting their relatives in in strategic positions. This is why they're putting the army. This is why they're putting ZANU PF loyalists and apologists in strategic positions, because they're already planning to announce a sham victory that we know that the citizens are not voting for. But coming to what Maximilian has said, if we continue to register to vote, let's encourage a lot of people, everyone, all the citizens who are eligible to register to vote, because in itself, it's a statement that the citizens have an appetite for change. They have an appetite to see this democratically done through their vote, through the ballot. But in the meantime, we must also open our eyes to see where ZANU PF is planning to play dirty and where the dirty tricks have already been implemented. I think I've spoken a lot. I'll allow others to go in as well. But let's keep our eyes on the ball. Let us keep focused, and let us encourage everyone to continue registering to vote. We must express our appetite for change in Zimbabwe through registering to vote, and also our eyes open on the dirty tactics that ZANU PF is planning and has already implemented.
Yes. I'll come to you, Sister Beauty, just now. So, what we can agree here is both Sophia and Max are agreeing that registering to vote is the key, and they are disagreeing on whether to stay away from the vote or not. Which thing Max is supposed to elaborate further. But before we go back to Max, let's come to Sister Beauty. Sister Beauty, what's your take from the two submissions that have been presented by the other two speakers?
Well, at least we all agree that registration to vote is important. So at least we'll start with the consensus point there. But we don't agree on the fact that the votes have to be cast, because they're saying you can't cast them. Rather, just register to vote and absent yourself from us actually casting the vote on the actual election day, because by casting your vote you're inducing a sham election. That's what they're saying, right? But my question is,
No,
where
actually,
has
sorry,
this
Sister
ever
Beauty,
worked?
I'm saying that people must register to vote and vote. I'm also not understanding this thing of withholding the vote. I'm
Okay,
advocating
thank you
for
for
people
that.
to
Thank
register
you.
to vote and actually vote.
Thank you. Because my question is also still to Max then. Where has this ever worked, that you register in mass and they don't vote? Could you like tell us where this has happened and what the results were?
All right, so very good. So
Max, we can't hear you. Okay, I think Max will be coming back. Can you hear Max? You can just, if you can hear him, you can just show a sign.
No, I can't hear him as well.
Okay, so let's go to Dobbs whilst you are waiting for Max.
I wasn't seeing who is saying that, but I've read all the information. The issue of sending mixed message, like say, let's register to vote, but there's that possibility that we might not vote. It's really discouraging to voters because we are really struggling. It's very difficult to just encourage some of our younger brothers to just say, go and register to vote. It takes a lot of effort to convince somebody. At the same time, we must understand to say we now have a lot of voters who are crossing from ZANU-PF to CCC. So if we just tell them that message, then we are confusing them. They will take us as people who are not serious. Say these people want us to come to their camp, but they are not going to participate in the elections. It will be rather better because they understand the risks they are taking when they are crossing to our camp. And there is somebody who suggests, say, So probably other thing we might do, probably we might also lobby to have another organization besides this to manage the election, like probably SADC or AU or UN, to involve in the elections. Probably that will minimize all the risk and so forth. And probably if the observer come a bit earlier, and if we lobby for observer to do their observation a bit earlier, those ones that again can still, I mean international observer that again can still can still reduce the issue of violence. At the same time, equipment and so forth, like mobile phones, at the moment to prevent ourselves, apart from that issue of self-defense, but to have the necessary evidence that indeed there was like today, indeed, we have the photos and the videos that indeed several several cars for ZANU-PF were there because some of them were just party cars with ZANU-PF logo and everything for ZANU-PF. But we did not manage to. There's not a lot about who was driving or even photos of who was driving, except probably 4 or so who were captured to be occupants of the
Yes. So, Baba Dobbs, we'll come back to you. Remain on the podium. So the reason why we didn't see a lot of information about what happened is because the information was captured, but the ZANU-PF people took away the gadgets of the journalists because the journalists are the ones who the journalists are the ones who actually capture the information. So the lack of information, it is because their car keys were taken, their phones were taken, and everything. So information had been captured, but the gadgets were taken, something like that. That can be the rational explanation. But let's go to Ivan to hear what he has to say.
Thank you very much, Court. I thought I just had to add my word on the issue of voting as being a solution to our challenges. So people are quite skeptical and reluctant to participate in these processes because of their previous experiences with election. You can think of 2008, you can talk of 2013, 2018, even up 2000, if I can say. Our elections have always been marred with violence, with rigging, allegations of rigging, evidence of rigging, now and again. And it's so difficult to convince people to really believe in the electoral system. But in as much as it is, I would really like to emphasize for the youth like myself that voting indeed works. Whatever has to come, it has to borrow its legitimacy from an overwhelming mandate. So whatever extra action that is needed, of course, voting is not enough. What extra action is needed, it has to borrow its legitimacy from an overwhelming mandate. That's the starting point. And things like rigging, violence can only work to a certain extent. There comes a time when the numbers are just too much. Suppose 5 million people go out and vote and 4 million vote for change. You can't do anything about that. No amount of rigging can happen in such a scenario. So voting indeed works, and it has to happen in our numbers. Whatever action that comes, it will have to be reinforced by an overwhelming mandate. So these actions of trying to close the political space, threaten people, close the media space, spread hate, and It's all for it's to make us believe that elections don't work. You see Mnangagwa now and again going into churches, and what he's doing today was in Mandarin, because he knows votes work. Those people vote, they go out and vote all out, the entire family. Go out and vote. That's the mentality the youth need to have in the ghettos and in the rural areas. That if we do this thing, our numbers indeed does work. That's why you see ZANU-PF spending millions trying to trying to get them votes and trying to silence CC. That's the whole point. They know that if he goes out there, talks to people, people will listen to him, and they're going to vote otherwise. So voting works. Do not be provoked into violence. That's what they want, because they know voting. They've been getting intelligence since February that they will lose any day by more than 68%. Since February, they know that every week he's told you that if we have an election tomorrow, you're losing. So they know that, and they'll try everything. But power is in voting. Let's go out and register to vote. If you can manage to register to vote and make sure you convince at least 3 people, it's game over. We are so many. The youth for 68% of this country, right? For 15 million people, which means we are the game changers. We are the ones who decide. So do not lose heart. They will try anything. And these are the last kicks of a dying horse. It's desperation. They spend their millions of acres of media space saying Chamisa is nothing, doesn't have structures, he doesn't have a constitution, he's a one-man's band, he's by himself. But look on the other side, how the attention they're placing on the guy. They are trying to squeeze him out or end life out of him. So this old noise, they thought he was not going to recover in time for 2023. They thought it was not going to recover. You're going to waste time in internal squabbles, in congresses, or even of election. So now they're disappointed that this thing is not working. Structures or no structures, constitutions or no constitutions. He is on a roll. That's why they're stopping the president. They don't want him to see the people. It's because elections work. They are panicking, and the desperation, they'll try to arrest. A lot of people are persecuted. A lot of leaders will be taken in. It's going to get worse than this, but we got to hold on. Do not be provoked. Let's vote first. And once we vote in, whatever of them, when we mandate, if they want war, we'll give them war. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. Let's go to Tito Cliff. And indeed, voting works, like you are saying. Excellent, excellent words there. If voting didn't work, ZANU-PF wouldn't campaign. They wouldn't be panicking as they are doing, to the extent of taking AK-47s to try to block a rally. That shows you that campaigning works and voting works. Powerful words, Ivy.
If I may say, come on, very quickly, just very quickly. I know someone else is supposed to come on. I just got a question, just a rebuff. If voting worked, are you telling me that in 2017 Nelson didn't get the majority?
He did. It was not overwhelming. 2008, with President Sangrai coming in to become prime minister, it's because they walloped them in an election overwhelmingly. And we had that because the election worked in the favor of the people. So elections do work. Yes.
So Max, wait there. You get another chance. Let's go to TikTok Cliff.
Thanks very much, Mr. Host. Indeed, the house is burning, and it's either 2023 or probably never. But I want to come from a different angle, just to put icing on the cake. Yes, indeed, voting. Is so and this and that. And we all always wonder what's happening. Like today, there's a video.
Please don't call him our president. He's not my president.
Okay, he's not the president either. He went to one of these churches, then the guy given a pulpit to, instead of preaching, and the political parties they are given the pulpit to speak, and the guy was actually campaigning. He wasn't hiding, and it's actually like he was forcing people to say, no, look, we have to vote for this candidate. What's happening? What's going on? Can we? Is it? It's shocking to say, could we have people who get up in the morning, take a shower, dress up, attend a church service. They don't even like ZANU-PF.
TikTok,
So,
if for
yes.
better context, let me play the video you're talking about. You continue.
Yes.
I just want people
I've
to
pinned
hear
something
what
up
you're
there.
talking about.
Okay.
Yes. You pinned it. Let me play it as well. Because I also
And
want
it's coming.
people-
Sorry to interject. And it's coming from a whole person who's supposed to be a civil servant.
Yes.
So we also want to discuss this. It's important that we understand to what extent should we trust some of these churches and statements that are said in church. Should we listen to it because it's in church, or should we? How should we judge these things? So I will play it. Then, if you are listening, we want your comments.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that.
Saka ipapo tinotopaterera kuti ndiwo mutungamiri wedu. Izvozvi ndingada kuti vadzidzi vari kuzovhotera idzi munangagwa gore ramangwana simudzai maoko. South Africa. So vari kuzovhotera mapapa nemasisi. Kunoka hakuna izvozvo. Sokuti tinototi kana takatendeura munhu weCCC, chinhu chokutanga tinobva tamutaurira kuti ototeera ZANU-PF. Chikonzero chatoteera ZANU-PF ndechekuti varungu vana Satani. Saka project yese yavanenge vaita inofanana nepati yavo. Ukanika uri mudzidzi uchiteera, zvinoreva kuti wateera Satani kana kudenga huende.
This is a painful video to listen to. I want people to make a comment on this. This is what ZANU-PF is doing. Besides violence, it is also going to churches saying some funny stuff like this one. Let's go ahead. Finish TikTok clip.
Yeah.
We have other speakers.
So it's now clear to everyone. Probably some of us didn't watch it. You can see now where I was coming from to say we as citizens were contributing to these programs. The reason why I'm saying this, it's shocking to hear this. We still got people who clap hands to this nonsense. it's not only happening in Kumachema Apostle. Some time ago, you went to a big mega church, UFI, whatever it's called, Yamakandewa. And I've got no doubt that the majority, there's a big percentage of people who doesn't even like to hear about ED. But the same people, yeah, they got up, have the guts to get a seat and listen to Papa, so they call Papa, but you praise at the same person who's causing their own the problems. Much like I said, because of this people. We go to Seventh Day. People are doing the same thing as well. They give Taguei a pulpit to preach. Right. Are you telling me that these people who are looking at my churches, all those people who are gathering to hear this nonsense, cannot change their ways of doing things? Because if I can assure you, or can guarantee you, that if people show their anger, it's either by just getting up and say, "Oh no, enough, walk away," or even they turn up not turning out. Okay, fair enough. Another thing they can do, because these pastors and papas, because we are feeding them. If the competence
Peter, I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
I want you to think about this, because we understand that even during the times of Jesus Christ, there were false prophets, and there are those who would come as sheep or wolves in sheep's clothing, according to Jesus' description, right? They are probably true people of God. Then there are probably some guys, let's say, like that guy was speaking. Maybe it's a guy straight from the president's office or something like that. Because there's no way a normal church person can go and start saying such things and what. It is an attempt to brainwash people, but I want to hear it from the others. Let's see. So who was next here? Sister Beauty, if you can accept the host invite so that you can help me. So I think I'll just go with the order that you are appearing. We'll go to Sister Priscilla. After that, we go to Evangelist. After Evangelist, we go to Kelvin. After Kelvin, we go to Elder Easy, something like that. So let's start with Sister Priscilla there. What's your take on the, when you picked up the mic, there was definitely a burning point. So start with the burning point. Then you go to the rest of the issues.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I struggle with this issue. Yes, on a PF Kanachinda my church, and I'll tell you why. These people that go to this kind of churches, or most churches in general, because you'd think actually kutiko Seventh Day but it's almost the same thing that I see. People are very, very vulnerable in Zimbabwe. So and there's quite a lot of things that they're quite vulnerable because they're hungry. There's intimidation. So it makes them want to belong to a certain kind of a group for them to feel safe. souya anga achitaura uyu anenge atoachievha goal yake because they brought them together now in these people are looking for a miracle to have food on their tables. Vanhu vakadzi vachibatwa chibharo, vana vachirepiwa, vana vachipiwa kumazidhara akaita seiwayaya. It's disgusting, it's vile, if I can say that. It's a sad situation, but I can see why people go there, because these people are actually very, very vulnerable. So if you want to single yourself out and say, I'm going to stand by myself and be different, that's when you become the enemy of the rest of them. So that you'll be called Mwana Mtengesi, sunken seekers, all these sort of names that they throw around. Of course, I don't support the violence. It's just what ZANU PF does. That's their default thing, you know. If they feel intimidated or defeated, they will go and attack people physically. It's so sad they do things like that. I wish this could stop. I would also please, I'm aging. I'm doing this every day. My folks hate me in WhatsApp groups. Kana zvakatondikwidzira ndinotomuka ndakatochinja WhatsApp status ndati ZANU PF must go, and ndenge ndotosvika zuva rese vanhu vachiti ko maita seko, ndichiti ndiri kutotaura izvozvo, inofanira kuinda. Vanhu ngavaregister kuvhota. People should also, I remember, to encourage people back home to continue to send their coordinates, because Vana Freeman and his team are still trying to map these polling stations, because we don't want things mushrooming, you know, and get surprised in 2023 with all these things that we don't know. Saka, it's again data collection, which is absolutely vital in these circumstances. Thank you very much. That was my contribution.
Thank you. Evangelist, you can go. Evangelist Cleo, you can go ahead. I think Evangelist Cleo is having some network problems. Let's go to Eddie. Eddie, go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Host. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the Change citizens. Thank you so much, guys. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, allowed it.
Okay. Thank you so much. I can hear you, and I'm happy and disappointed at the same time, because Gokwe is where I come from. Gokwe is, we cannot go as citizens. Kushnewano, I don't know where from, but I think it has to do with the people. It has to do with mindset, because I remember when was it 2008? Paitwa camps, Pairuwa vanhu, Paitwa Sese that other time. Not in my village. We said never. Hakuna munhu anoenda, kunzi anonoita Taliban, anonoita sei. And we're labeled even today. In my village, they don't receive any aid from ZANU-PF because of that, because we stand as a team, we stand for what we believe. We believe, let's do this. If we, because those ZANU-PF people, they are just a few people, it's not to but because problem at my cowards, they are CC kana wakawanda, but panonzi padiwa munhu ataure kana abude pache, they don't want to come out. So we got a problem with those people, and there is this thing of we need to admit to got a problem, and our problem is not those people vari muchechi kana kuti vanhu vari but we need to educate them. But if they come, because remember these people, they are vulnerable. Unongosara uri one paya wozonzi uyu ndiye akatadza kusudza ruoko paya panze ndiani achavhotera ED kana ndiani achaita sese. If there is that platform, they must participate vasumudze vatoti ndiye, but you must know inside yourself kuti wena, what do you believe in? What do you believe? Do you believe in change? Do you believe, can you stand out in the thing? Because in that ballot box you are alone and there is no intimidation. Whether ukaenda choro wanzo wapiwa chibage cheZANU-PF, take it. They go there, you know where to vote for, you know who to vote for, you know what to do, you know what, because ndozvotida kudzokera kumashure tidzidzise vanhu vese vapana vedu vari kukura, because I was disappointed nandokumusha nditaura kuti unontaura, you don't come to me tell me kuti I want to register voter and you complain with things that are hard, and who do you expect those things achachinja those things except you can voter, and you need to go and vote. Well, voter, that's when you can complain, not tell me kuti when you not respect, because you are actually one of, you are less than the ZANU-PF thing, because you are actually enabling by not participating. When you come and complain and you're not participating, space and my meetings every day and night, and but our real problem is, are we going to vote? Are we going? What are we doing as CC? What are we doing to educate our people, to educate these people, even in those intimidated, even Gokwe we go there. I was a foot soldier. I remember I was a foot soldier. Zvakaoma those elections. Patanga kuta ZANU-PF yanga yakatuvira green bomber. Mukwekwe muyamwe. I was a foot soldier. Ndichikuruta do to do. You don't need to kuene musangano kuti musangano uzadze vanhu utese. You talk to your. It's a word of mouth. Word of mouth. Kana zvakatooma kudaro, we need to have strategies. We need to come up with strategies, because we are faced with these people. They are violent. They can do anything. But you need to be. We need to be strategic. We need to come up with strategies now. What can we do under this situation? What can we do? Do we have any intelligence? Because now, because of phone call, we have. It's different from a long time ago. 2008, because so what are we using? Are we using this WhatsApp? Are we using this TikTok? We know my youth are TikTok. We know my youth, they are not interested maybe on Twitter, but because of data issues, most of them they're on TikTok. Let's go there. Let's do this. Let's campaign from there. Let's adopt technology and try to take advantage of the technology we are having today. This technology wasn't there yesterday. So what can we do? We are living the 20th century. What are we doing to take advantage of the technology instead of crying? Because we could have known already. Coming up, I used to go in did you gather intelligence? You need to have those people. We need to have our people on the ground. So okay, what to mirror message? That was okay. Can you avoid that road? Can we do this? Can we do? What can we do? We have to have that counter intelligence. They are useless. They are old. They are arrogant. It's also, let's be counter. Ahead, because we're young, with the energy, we got all the time on our side. And like this, where what can we do? What? Because Gokwe can pass sapindiki. What can we do? President yesterday, Mash East. What can we do? Yes. So what I'm saying, let's come up with the strategies. Let's use this platform to come up with strategies. In Patakapa, we've got 6 months or so to do our campaigns. If we can't, we don't have ATM on the thing. ZBC, we don't need ZBC. We got Twitter, we got Facebook, we got TikTok, we got everything on our hands. So let's try to campaign on those platforms. See where these young people are. then we go and campaign from there, because these are the where most of our voters are coming from. Varimo muZANU-PF, they are not happy, but because of security, because there are a lot of guys that don't turn out, but security for now. But at the end of the day, those guys, they are going to vote for us, but they need our audience. They need to go, people, they go away their numbers. They need to see kune vanhu vari kwere kana kuti kusangana chakamuka here kana kuti chi. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yes,
Okay.
But
thank you.
on that one,
Yeah.
two seconds first.
Okay.
On that one,
Yeah.
It might be vanotya their security kuti vakasa responda vanokwanisa kutengeswa kunzi uyu haana kudai uyu haana kudai. Let's look at VFI yekwamakandiwe iri Harare. We know the
Yes.
majority of the people running the
Yes.
these triples.
True.
So that's the hit we need. Kuti people shouldn't seek vachiziva kuti zvavari kuudzwa handizvo and sit vachikozwana zviri zviri comfy kwavari. They need to react to no, we enough of this, we don't want this. And if
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for raising.
Brad,
yes,
do you
so-
mind
so-
opening up your Zoom for me, please?
Right. We have got limited time now because of the program that is coming. Our VP is going to be speaking soon, and also our SG is going to be speaking soon. And also we are co-hosts of the upcoming Twitter space, so we can only be here for so long. So I will try to go through the people who have not yet spoken. Then we just try to wind up in about 10 to 15 minutes. Then we'll just go to the other program. We'll still be there. We'll still be having discussions. Only that Honorable Molokele will now be the host and I'll be the co-host, something like that. So, Mr. Ivan, I hope the DM that you wanted has been opened. Let me go to Mzondiwa. Mzondiwa, in a minute. If Mzondiwa is not there, Nelson, go ahead. Nelson, are you there or Mzondiwa? Okay, if they are not there, let's go to Ivan. You had your hand up.
Actually, somebody spoke my thoughts. Thank you so much. You can cut the speakers.
Yes, so among our new speakers, Elder, you had come, Elder Diamond, you had come earlier, but Elder D, so you dropped. So Elder, go ahead.
Komaziko, maswera sei hama dzadikanwa. Inini I just wanted to ask kuti video rapinwa pamusoro apo iro riri kutidzidzisa chii actually, and I mean it's about ZANU-PF attending church yemadzi, I mean those churches, yeah, I don't know, I stand to be corrected, but yo.
So Inonzichi, that video yapinwa na Ivan, it was about a comment here at home church. It was about a comment that was made in a church, and people tend to believe these things because it's their church. Maybe Ivan is going to tell us why he pinned it and why he thought it is important. But before that, Desmond, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Zico. I just wanted to quickly comment on this issue and say that it's unfortunate, really, if you are to observe, and I'll say this quickly, if you are to observe the history of pre-election season in Zimbabwe, you'll find that there are things that are very common that happen. including this thing where the president starts going to every church wearing every church uniform and making all these ridiculous declarations, and the church also reciprocating and calling them installed by the heavens and all those kind of things. And the next thing you start seeing again after this is the army declaring that these ones fought for the what and all. These things are common. They happen every single time, every election. And it's unfortunate that even us as citizens we are frog marched into, or rather we frog march ourselves into the election, knowing very well that the playing field is not level. The playing field is not even. Right now, as we are speaking, this issue of violence, President Chamisa cannot address a group of more than 10 people. He cannot. It's simply impossible for him to have a rally. They go around throwing stones. I think a few months ago, an attempt was made on his life and things like that. But life still goes on. And I think at some point we have to stop and come up with a position. And something has to give. And in my opinion, really, I think the next election is going to be really a very violent one. And people will be intimidated and whipped into line to vote for ZANU-PF, especially in the rural areas. And particularly those people will be whipped so much so that they vote for ZANU. But still, the election will go on. Still, the result will be announced, and still the winner will be installed. And we have the same song every year, every election. So I think we should come up with a position where we say this is a non-negotiable pillar. If this is not addressed, the election is not going to happen. And we should be disruptive. Disruption doesn't mean violence, but we should be able to disrupt. Election because it's pointless, really. And at the end of the day, also, we expect young people to register to vote and things like that. I've worked extensively with the registration of young people in elections here in Zimbabwe. And I will tell you that these are the issues they raise. Every election, there's violence. Every election, tomorrow wants voterization. So what's the point? It's better to register and vote. Of course, you do try and educate them on the broader meaning of elections and things like that. But we need to address the elephant in the room. What is the position? And I think we need to come up with this position now, a year before elections, so that we know this is how we are moving. It's unfortunate that at some point we then pretend as if we have woken up and say, what is going on? What is going on? This is not fair. This is not correct. Let's fix this thing. But it will be 3 months before elections, and nothing happens. So let's do that now, and that's my proposal. Thanks, Rigo.
Thanks, my brother Desmond. There, we will talk more about that offline, and we'll be able to discuss. Unfortunately, our time is run out, and we are going to be joining the other program. So those who have spoken, like Ubaba Dobbs, you won't get a chance. I know from Ivan.
15 seconds, please. I just want to give context to my pin there.
Okay. So do that.
Yeah. So someone asked, what is that teaching us? So a speaker was lamenting the abuse of the church and the pulpit and civil servants as pre-reading by ZANU-PF and lamenting that why are we allowing it to happen. So I just gave the visual evidence of something latest. That's the context.
Yes, thank you so much for that context. And indeed, we are happy. And I think TikTok Cliff, you had spoken. I'm sorry, we have a program. Evangelist, you had not yet spoken, so I'll give you a minute. Then Musondiwa a minute, Tichafa a minute. Then after that, as we are leaving, let's go and join the space. I'm going to pin the space here so that you can easily join, because that's where the Vice President is going to be speaking. The Vice President of the Triple C. So I'm going to pin it. So go ahead, Evangelist, whilst I'm pinning the program.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, all right. Thank you for this opportunity. I just want to say that again, it's a disturbing event to see that there is political violence ongoing in the country. And now my concern becomes to say we're singing the same song, we're complaining to deaf ears. Zanu has done this, Zanu has done that, Zanu has done that. I think we should move to a stage whereby we know, okay, fine. We want to go to rural areas. ZANU-PF is likely to send its thugs and buy people beer so that they attack CCC supporters and our convoys. So what we should do now, before we even announce that there's a rally, let's have people going to those areas where there's likely to be violence and install secret cameras or install positions where they can control drones, right? And let's have the violence when it erupts, let's have it being filmed live outside the country, such that people, key institutions, like maybe, let me not say that, like maybe people from EU, right, and the whole globe can see what is happening live. And at that moment, that's when you see that, okay, these people will react. The ZANU-PF guys will stop the violence. Because right now, as we're keeping on complaining, they're actually celebrating. That's how evil they are. They rejoice in seeing us in agony and mourning. That thrills them. That's one thing we need to accept. Now,
Thank you.
furthermore, I I think we need to, okay, let me just round up. Let me finish up. I think we need also to put strategies on the ground. Like for instance, let's not tell our rural folk who to vote for or register to vote. Let's just go there. Let's teach them their rights, their constitution. Let's eliminate, debunk this theory to say that the ZANU-PF guys can see where these people have voted for. Let's kick it out. Let's have these people know their constitution. Some of them were telling them that ZANU-PF is bad, but they do not even know the criteria we are using to judge ZANU-PF as failures and evil, simply because they do not even know their own constitution. So we need to invest heavily in having these people know their rights. They should know that those are just statements of fear before elections to tell them that we'll see where you voted for and we'll kick you away. No one should see that. And we should also teach them to be literate so that no one needs assisted voting. Those are critical things we need to do. These are the kicks of a dying horse. If we can achieve the things I've stated, I think we can succeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think we have one or two more speakers that are left so that we go. The space is pinned there. Let's all start joining the space where the Vice President and the SG of the Triple C will be speaking. I have pinned, so if you read after their names just before the picture, there's a link there. Click the link, you go directly to the program. So Muzondiwa, are you there? Unfortunately, we don't have Muzondiwa. We would have loved to hear what he had to say. Tichafa, are you there?
Yes, of course, I'm there. Thank you.
1 minute.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just want to emphasize on this violence which is escalating across the country. Actually, in the rural areas, we need to have a robust approach, especially on campaigning. Actually, I know ZANU-PF, they have already because they know they are losing it, and as we go, we might have the no-go area in rural area. So specifically, what I'm suggesting as CC, we need to have now a strong security backup so that we don't do the rally thing, gathering people. We need to have big speakers on top of buggies. Then you start campaigning through the road dust in the rural areas. I think that's another way to educate the people in the rural areas rather than gathering and so forth. It is paramount to change the shift now. Thank you.
Thank you, Tichafa, there for what you have done, and indeed we've already eaten into 4 minutes of the other program. So the reason why we are still here is so that you can click on the link, and then after clicking on the link, just join straight. You go to the next space. In the next space, You are going to see us there. Will be the co-hosts. If I'm going to end the space, you can just click on our profile. When I join the space, you will be able to join again by viewing the profile of Triple C Diaspora. Thank you all for coming, and we meet in the next